And welcome to Microsoft Virtual Academy. I'm Brandon Matherson, and I'm a product marketing manager at Microsoft on the Windows Server, System Center, and Azure Data Center Solutions teams, focusing on how we deliver more efficient data center management tool sets to customers to better manage or deliver their resources or products to their end users or their business units as needed whenever they may scale across on-premises or even public clouds or even service provider environments. So one of the things we're talking about today is all about IT service management and adding processes into our tool set to be able to bring in some of the rich learnings that we've taken from ITIL into the process and some of the things that they'll be doing to deliver their services. So the component or segment that I want to cover on for the next few moments is all about managing multiple processes. And what are those processes? Those are those ITIL processes, whether it be incident management, change management, release management, etc. And these are all the things that are built from the ITIL wheel that we're so familiar with in terms of those 26 processes. But those are the top ones we want to cover on today. So let's dive into what this looks like in terms of managing the data center with our Microsoft stack. And so this is all about the release management, change, self-service experience, reporting and insights, as well as problem management. And when we take advantage of the Service Manager CMDB, that's where we bring in those policies and those processes to better identify how the schema for the activities and tasks that we're going to be doing within the environment. So across each one of those, we map to something in terms of that service transition phase. When we think about release management, how do we release and deploy services or applications? When we think about change management, how do we transition to changes and ensure that we provide uptime and reliability for end users of those services that we're going to be delivering? From a self-service experience, we want to think about request fulfillment and the service catalog and the service offerings that we have in play today. From a continual service perspective, that's where we think about improving our service reporting. That can be reporting for end users or various departments or the enterprise all up at an executive decision-making level, or all the way down to our internal view of how IT is delivering services or performing against some of the charters that are out there for us to meet. Then we have problem management or incident management. From a service operation perspective, we want to make sure that we're operational, that we're providing a reliable infrastructure for us to deliver this on. And again, this is all around the version 3 of the ITIL processes that exist today. And we have a number of other areas where we meet and we touch on within the stack, but these are the primary ones that we want to really highlight and provide those obvious mappings for you as we think about how Service Manager delivers that today. So within the CMDB, you have a number of different attributes around what it delivers and what we're going to be providing. It's going to be processes, workflows, service offerings, templates, knowledge, chargeback information. And that brings in, okay, can we monitor that and bring in that data from Operations Manager? Yes, we do, because we provide that connectivity from Service Manager to Operations Manager. Next, it's going to help us be able to provide better discoverability and have insight into health issues proactively and reactively. Then we think about the combined relationship between Orchestrator and the Service Manager portal or the app controller. In this case, it's going to be those workflows and those policies, or those workflows and those system execution tasks and those objects that helps us to be able to offer our services to customer. And again, we've talked about how that surfaces on the Service Manager portal. And then when we think about all the way out to that application owner or that business unit owner or that business unit user or the tenant user coming into that portal and then requesting those services and, let's say, thinking about, I need more capacity, I need additional VMs, I need additional resources, they can then do that, pass that through Orchestrator on all the way down into this configuration management database within Service Manager. And again, that's really useful in terms of capturing that schema, that policy, that rule, or that basis for how we actually perform our tasks with our environment. That is unique to each organization. We want to capture that, and the CMDB helps you do that. So why does the consistent delivery of services matter? What's the business policy? What is key? What's important? Those are all questions that we're asking. It's because we're standardizing how IT processes can be applied and built into that CMDB. That helps us drive integration, automation, and self-service. The outcome of that is always going to be the predictability of the services that we're going to deliver. I know what I'm going to get when I request this services. I know how to go through a change process. I know how the incident can be managed and remediated in case it's a reactive or proactive incident. It doesn't matter. And then it expedites the time or the lead time, or reduces the lead time, let me say, of when those issues get resolved or how we remediate those. I'm able to manage those problems. I'm able to meet my service level agreements that I may have with the enterprise, because they're expecting IT to deliver a certain way, a certain time, in a certain fashion. So let me first talk about change and release management. This is going to be one of the big components here as we think about introducing change into the environment, as users are going to think about how they get their infrastructure resources and change from the perspective of data center management as we move forward. And why does this matter? So the data center environment are being inundated with amount of change requests and change needs around where we are today versus where we need to be tomorrow. And compliance is a big mechanism, or is a big driver in making sure that we're impacting the business correctly. We want to make sure that we have a tool update in terms of what those changes are, and make sure that the critical ones are being done appropriately. In addition, we have a modification or a removal of anything that can affect how IT delivers those services. That's something that we want to make sure that we deliver on, and that's something that are being asked of us from customers and in multiple data center environments that are out there today. So what's the result? What happens? We're being consistent. We're reducing those errors and minimizing that risk. We're also reducing disruption of services to users, because as they're using these resources and we want to implement a change, we want to make sure that they don't see too much downtime, that we're able to slip this in the back end and can still provide them uptime and reliability without little to no impact to what they're doing. Then we have also the confidence of the enterprise that IT can deliver as expected and can provide a high level of quality of service. And this provides also increased visibility and communication of changes from both the business and as well as IT and the service delivery mechanisms that exist within the staff. Because now we're having this automated processes, the people who are targeted with doing a specific activity or specific expertise can focus on that expertise. And that helps the business users or the consumers of IT to be able to have more confidence that they can have their productivity met as they have deliverables they need to their end customers. So release management is all about how do we map a project or a program or initiative for let's say, a service that we're going to be deploying with the IT operations. Because users are going to be targeted with releasing something to the market. IT needs to support that, and we have a release mechanism in place from the project, from handoff to operations, and within operations, how we manage the rollout of changes. And so IT can build that process into the number of policies or procedures that need to occur, and Service Manager helps us do that. So what are some of the attributes within the release management cycle? There's a release record. There's a release work item within Service Manager. So when you go into the Service Manager console, you can go to your work items and see all of your release items or your work items related to release management, and you can create more. It can identify configuration items. You can bring in new configuration items, whether it be environment specific, whether it be dev, tests, PM, or in your build cycles. If you have, hey, I'm building out an application and I have a number of versions, I would have version control issues, you can bring that in as well. Now, who are the role owners? You can identify that within the users, within your items as well, and that's the release manager or the activity designer. Who's going to own this? And this can happen in a number of different cycles, one in parallel, at the same time, or sequential, one after the other. When we think about our workflow features, it's all about how we bring in the necessary workflows and we omit those tasks that we don't have to do manually anymore because we're already accounting for it, and we would want to reduce the amount of input that we need from users to simplify their activities and their tasks that they're going to be doing. Then we have the template-based approach where we're always thinking about how can we use templates to standardize how we deliver services. And that will be key in how we deliver that change and release management mechanisms back to the environment. Now let's move along to service level agreements. This is all about the meeting of business needs that IT is being burdened with to make sure that we deliver the services on time in a rapidly changing environment. And there's some key parts of that are all about measuring the processes. We need to make sure that we're doing that effectively. What are those processes? Whether it be incidents. The business is saying, if I open an incident, if I have a down resource, I need to make sure IT has that backup in X amount of time. And we want to make sure that we're meeting that. Service requests need to be met in an appropriate amount of time. We need to be met with a minimal to no amount of error to reduce that time that those users can spend up those resources or use those resources to continue being productive in their day-to-day tasks. We want to modify cloud capacity or active alert resource, right? So we want to think about what are all the alerts that are coming in. We want to make sure that we address them, prioritize them, and then resolve those issues that are most glaring, and then work our way down that list of items. And then when we think about spinning up a new cloud environment, that's all about, let's say we have an entirely new project being spun up. Again, this is project or program focused. I want to make sure that I spin that environment up and that I allocate it to the appropriate team. They have all the necessary components, storage, network, computing, and that it's all provisioned and allocated and permissions are set appropriately in the fashion they need to be able to continue working or to start working on a unique project. It's all about time. Resolving that issue in a timely fashion, right? We want to reduce the downtime, but increase productivity. One for IT provisioning resources, as well as productivity for the users who are going to be consuming the IT resources. So we want to make sure that these service levels are being met, that they're being maintained. So how are we going to do that, and what is being asked of us to be able to do this? We need the visibility of those services that are being delivered, and we need to make sure that we have the proactive approach to issues before they occur and impact the users negatively. We want to make sure that we define the thresholds correctly. What is the right mark? Let's say I'm running out of capacity. What is that right threshold? Is it 5%? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? What is the point in which I start to negatively impact what my users can do, and to which our environment, our systems start to become non-performant? I also want to identify boundaries for when our service level metrics and response times and resolution times all merge together. And I can do that through a number of different mechanisms by applying a time-based scenario to my service level agreements. So what does it do? It continues to provide a consistent reduction in downtime, reducing those errors that we can see in the environment over time, and we can prioritize our issues. We can then improve the user and business unit or tenant user satisfaction levels, because that is very key, that users start to have confidence in IT that we can deliver what is expected of us when we're out deploying services in an automated fashion. So how do we define the service level management? What do we need to do? What are some things we need to think about? Let's think about the service catalog. What is IT going to deliver as a service? Once we do that, we know why our business units are requesting types of services. We understand what their charter is to deliver and meet the business need and meet the enterprise need. We can then define the SLA templates. We can apply the service level requirements, as well as negotiate what those requirements are with the business based on the complexity of our systems. We want to make sure that we're integrating appropriately. So the fact that we can now integrate more seamlessly across the System Center stack within R2 and expand it to some third-party tool sets allows us to be able to reduce some of that time and meet some of those more demanding service level agreement timeframes. We can then build out some reports in terms of our key performance indicators and understand who the stakeholders are, who owns these particular responsibilities in spinning up resources and expanding capacity and resolving an incident and perhaps some storage issues that are occurring within the environment. My VMs are down, or I need an additional VM because I need some more resources for a short window beyond what I initially thought I might need. So that helps you in determining what does the service level management process look like and moving forward. So those agreements, and what we'll see in a number of different ways, are the calendars. We want to think about the service level metrics, and we want to think about the service level objects, and that brings together the work item SLA all together. And when we do that, we can apply those time, those metrics, and those objects to be able to define when do I need to engage, or when does additional attention need to be made for the next step. I want to think about, how do I notify my users? How do I notify my owners in terms of when when a threshold is being met or about to be exceeded or has exceeded if I've already missed that pre-indicator. So what does this look like in action? I want to think about building out a scenario here where we need to discover where a potential issue may occur, and we need to address that. So we'll sit within the Service Manager console in our work items, where we have a list of all of our items that have occurred, and they will be assigned to you. And you can see a number of different views of those top issues that are okay, they're green, or red. Hey, these need immediate attention right now. Then we have awareness of the services requiring activity. We can drill in deeper and identify where are those services that need to be that I need to take action on right away. And then we can define what those service level thresholds are, because I need to make sure that I bring over those thresholds so that when I'm approaching that maximum bar where service is impacting my end users, I can then take action on it. And then you can create that within the metrics, and you can edit those metrics and define how and when I get notified. And ultimately, that helps me be able to resolve and modify the infrastructure. For instance, for example, I need to deploy a VM or expand some more cloud storage. And I've been able to do that with the service level approach between each of those attributes within Service Manager. Now let me think about problems or incidents from the perspective of Service Manager, and how do we do that within the tool? And what is the value that we deliver within the product today? We can leverage the incident management capabilities to reduce time and get insight into what's occurring and what the systemic issues are, or even perhaps what the root cause might be. Remember, the incidents are the minute item or problem that may occur, because I can have multiple incidents tied to a problem. And then those problems are the records of issues that have occurred, and I can prescribe procedures to that. And I want to gain knowledge about those repetitive issues that seem to come up over and over again, so that over time I don't have to manually fix them. I apply an automated process. This is where you can start to bring in Orchestrator to go through that process and look for that and apply that knowledge or those learnings and apply that fix without human interaction as much as possible. We want to make sure that we build in the safeguards in terms of notifications and approvals, but we don't have to manually go into these environments anymore. We want to think about multiple incidences and then implementing change requests. So the incident management process is all about the unplanned interruption to an IT service, and why do customers care? Why is this something that they've brought to our attention? Because incidents are often detected by an event. They're also detected by when users have a downtime. You're going to know right away, either through systems and or people, when those services are down. And we need to know how to best escalate that, to what, to who, to where, and in what fashion. I then have my boundaries that I want to make sure that I maintain in terms of that service that needs to be defined. What are the service level metrics? What is the response time? What is the resolution time that's acceptable for the enterprise? And when I do that time to detection and resolution helps us to be able to improve that end user satisfaction, to identify the quality of service issues that may exist out there, or the experiences that I need to go address. Or for instance, maybe even in my capacity planning, this helps me think about what do I need to forecast and move forward on. And then I can restore service back to normal state once I've been able to resolve these issues. So, on an incident management perspective, when I go into the console, I can then think about how detection and recording, classifying a given issue, or even investigating and diagnosing an issue can all bubble up to who at the ownership and monitoring level, so that now I can implement change. I can kick off some processes to actually resolve those issues. And once we've done that, we can continue in that cycle of those systemic issues that occur, and they no longer become manual steps that I will continue to have to address time and time again. When I detect and record them, they're easy to use forms. I can use templates, incidents from emails or operations manager, and so forth and so on. When I classify them, I can bubble this up in a self-service experience. Or when I need to investigate these, I can check my knowledge base articles and I can look for information there, or pull from CMDB data for trending analysis. I can then update this information within the request itself and then implement and kick off a change request if I need to, and I can close the incident. And once I've done that, I've gone through the cycle of building on the learnings that I've gotten within my environment today. Now, a problem resolution process may look as simple as this. I need to deploy a service. I've gotten a notice because I'm connected to Operations Manager through the integration that we've been talking about. I'm managing a VM within Virtual Machine Manager. That incident is related to a memory issue. I've done that. And I've recognized that that's a problem, and I see this incident occurs time and time again. It's a repeat incident. And when that happens, that alert gets thrown in Ops Manager, and I can then kick that off for the service to be resolved via Service Manager. Because Service Manager tells me what is the problem and where can I pull that knowledge-based information from. And that service can be restored with minimal downtime to end users and to customers. So real quickly, the way that we see the resolving of the incident is all about creating a new incident, and that can come in a number of different formats, is through directly within a service request that the end user might ask for, as well as an automated process that we're getting from the thresholds that we've set for, let's say, Operations Manager to monitor, let's say. I introduce some change with the existing incident. I communicate to my users as well as to my owners the status of that incident. I have personalized views within the Service Manager console for how I can separate which incidents are most critical, prioritize them, which ones are okay, and which ones are red flagged in terms of resolve now, and then take the action to do so. But the CMDB allows for discovery of trends. I can now start to report on that information. I can capture systemic issues with that information. And that's something that's very key for us to think about when we think about managing these multiple processes. So this has been a deep discussion on all of the service management and IT service management processes, or the ITIL processes that we're going to be managing with the Service Manager. But we want you to start to get your hands on the product today. Go into TechNet, the Download Center, or the Evaluation Center within TechNet, and download System Center 2012 R2 and specifically Service Manager. Start to play with it. Start to explore. Take it a step further and take a look at our TechNet virtual labs that we've created as well. We have a number of labs out there that are customized as hands-on experiences that you can do at your own pace. So this is a way for you to start to really walk through step by step how you can do some of these things that I've just shown. And then lastly, continue to come back to Microsoft Virtual Academy for more information on the IT service management track, as well as the additional capabilities within System Center 2012 R2. Again, my name is Brandon Matherson, and I thank you for joining me in today's session, and continue to follow me on the TechNet Virtual Labs as well as the Microsoft Virtual Academy. Thank you.